Hari Om. Now we are across two shlokas where Lord is stating his position. There is always a question in philosophy that if that almighty power, if at all there is a creator, that almighty power, in what form that power is. It appears pervading everything. It appears omnipresent, present everywhere. But how that power is in terms of rupa, guna. So it is only the figment of imagination when an ordinary person thinks of the Lord. Sometimes we feel the Lord is like me, so I create a idol which is similar to me, but then I realize that the Lord has to have much more power than what I think because he's all powerful. Then I add the number of limbs to the Lord. I make him look majestic because he has to be majestic, because if he's the ruler of everything, he cannot be same like me because I have limitations. I am Santa. He's Ananta. Now with these figments of imaginations, the Shraddha also develops accordingly. But a question definitely lingers in the mind that Lord is everywhere in the world, yet he is not affected by the world, yet he is responsible for the world's functioning, yet he does not cause anything for the individuals to act badly. He is supposed to be not involved in anything, yet he ensures that everything is done. These are quite contradictory terms when seen with an apparent vision by anyone. In our daily transaction or a vyavaharika vishwa, we know that there is somebody who is doing something. So there is a person who acts, there is an action that he performs, and there is a result that he enjoys or suffers. This is our general observation. Now, if you say that I cannot act unless the Lord has blessed me to act, unless the consciousness is pervading in me, I won't be able to act, then to separate my action from what the consciousness expects is very difficult for me. It's a philosophical dilemma. Everything happens because of Chaitanyam. Then the thief who is stealing a thing is also happening because of Chaitanyam. So in the stealing act, which act is of consciousness, which is not of consciousness? The very stealing or theft is not possible if the consciousness is not there. That means consciousness has acted in a thievish manner, but consciousness cannot be so bad. No, then the person is bad because he was doing the theft, but person alone doesn't do anything. He has nothing, he is inert jada. That's where the dilemma comes into the picture. If consciousness is responsible for everything that happens in the world, then all the miseries of the world has to be attributed to the consciousness. And if the consciousness does not cause the miseries of the world, then it should be attributed to somebody who is conscious to act. That means there has to be two types of consciousness, which cannot be true. Because in philosophy, this is not acceptable. All these questions that should ideally galore in the mind of a sadhaka, which of course has arisen in the wiser disciple called Partha. Partha is saying that my Sakha, my dear friend, who is of course wise, he's telling me that, look, Arjuna, just do the act that is told to you. And suddenly the question lurks in the mind of Partha that, all right, the Lord is telling me this, but what about Lord? He himself is also doing the role of a Sarathi. What about that action? Why is he doing it? And if he's a Lord, can Lord be doing any act? Because consciousness is inert, kriya vihina, and is actually seen performing an act. The most baffling thing is, Lord, when he appears in the world or in the prakriti or any highly evolved jiva, when he becomes a jivana mukta and is still in the world the way Gurudeva was, because they are already trigunatita, they are beyond the three gunas, they have transcended the gunas, but are still alive when they are in the gunas. This is the irony. You have transcended the gunas and you are still in the world. What do? Bhagavan Shri Krishna, not only he was beyond Prakriti and gunas, but the entire Prakriti and guna was subservient to him. Then when such a person, who is king of kings of the entire universe, comes back into the world, what will he do? We know that no action is possible unless there is a guna udaya. Either you have sattva, raja or tama, something has to be there, otherwise action cannot take place. Lord is beyond the three gunas, yet he is born as Sri Krishna. Then he is going to do a karma. How the karma can be done by a person who has transcended the three gunas? That is a $1 million question. That is precisely what Advaita excels in. Sankhya philosophy gave the structure and the function, the anatomy and the physiology of the universe has been explained by no one else but Sankhya. Unassailable, can't be argued against. The most appropriate and tightly packed explanation of the universe and the creation comes from Sankhya. As Vivekananda says, nobody can state evolution better than Sankhya. But the Advaita's beauty is that which is not in the gunas and the prakrutudbhava gunas, how a person who has transcended the gunas can still be in the gunas and act accordingly. To explain that, knowing the mind of Partha has already come to that question, Bhagavan now, with the cryptic smile which he always wears on his face, Krishna's smile, Bhagavan Sri Krishna's smile, is something very, very intriguing. Anticipating what Partha must be thinking, that for me it is fine. I am a Kshatriya, by Varna. I am Sattva Guni by Guna. And I have got some confusion, dilemma in my mind. So I am told that you please go and Tasmat Yuddhasva. Go ahead with the fight. Agreed. I understood. But this gentleman who is standing next to me, my Sakha, he is beyond the three gunas. What about he? Why should he act? Why is he acting? Is he really acting? Is he really doing karma or not doing the karma? To set right all these questions, Bhagavan starts, Na me partha asti kartavyam. The first statement itself tells that Partha, I do not have any duty whatsoever. And you may think that I am in the Bhuloka now. What about the Dyuloka or the Swargaloka or other lokas, etc.? Not only here, but not even in Trishu Lokeshu Kinchan. Not even an iota of Kartavyam I have anywhere. Suppose somebody comes in your house, immediately we ask, Kim Prayojanam? Kaise aana hua? How did you come, sir? What is the purpose of your coming? And if the person says, no, I have no purpose, I just came. You say, how can that be possible? Without intent, without purpose, without cause, nothing can happen. That is what our experience is. Cause, karana, intent, prayojana, purpose, hetu, then action. And what is Lord saying? Name asti kinchan kartavyam trishu lokeshu. In the three lokas also, not only here, I do not have any duty whatsoever. Then the question comes, if there is no duty whatsoever, why did you come? It also poses other questions. What are the people to whom the kartavyam is there? And there comes the background of karana prayojana hetu. We are doing karma. Right now, we are doing karma of listening to this beautiful scripture called Bhagavad Gita and the lucid and beautiful commentary by Gurudeva. Why are we doing this karma? Because one of our guna, Sattva guna, became udita, became pronounced, and it compelled us to listen to something from Bhagavad Gita so that I can think of my mumukshata. I can think of going close to the God. That is why this came. So what is the karana? Karana is Sattva Guna. But why did Sattva Guna came in picture? There is a karana for it. The karana is maybe in the past birth I did some good deed, some sukarma. I might have helped some people. I might have nursed some people. I might have been very compassionate to some people. As a adrushta or punyam part of it, I was rewarded with the Sattva Guna, and the Sattva Guna compelled me to forsake or abandon my Friday morning from any restaurant and come to Bhagavad Gita to listen to it. So it's clear. The karma of this is happening because of Sattva Guna. So there is a karana behind it. What is the prayojana intent of listening to this particular session? The prayojanam is, I want to achieve something. Achieve what? I want to have Sattva Guna Vruddhi, and then this Sattva Guna Vruddhi will help me in reducing my Chitta Ashuddhata. Then that Chitta Ashuddhata will give me what is called as abolition of Vikshepa from my mind, which will help me to concentrate my mind, and then through Dhyanam or Upasana, I will reach the Lord. This is the Prayojanam. So, Hetu is to reach the Lord. Prayojana is to basically purify myself to the tune that I can reach the Lord. Cause is because of the guna done through the deeds. So that is how I'm doing this particular karma. But Lord says, I do not have any prayojana. I don't have any intent. I'm with you to guide you in this war. What is my intent? No, I want to become very famous as Partha's charioteer. No, because I'm beyond that satta, yasha, kirti, sampatti, pratishtha. I don't need it because I have no desire left. A desireless man, what is then prompts him to act? There is no desire, and yet you want to act. One of the most intricate subject for understanding is acting without a desire. Because acting without desire would literally, we feel that it is like there is nothing to prompt me to act. How can I act? Even when there is a desire of the thirst, then I take the water. Why would I drink water without any desire of drinking water? So what is a desireless action? We do not understand because we have never been into the plane pratala where these kind of activities take place. We are in the plane or pratala where we act for ourselves. That is called selfish plane of activity, karma for myself. A little elevated beyond this is working for others, sahayajna, working for the society, working for others. This is a higher elevated level of action, pratala, of karma at a higher level. Beyond that, there is a pratala in which I have no purpose to act, but my acts are flowing from the promptness of the gunas that are playing on their own without any personal encapsulation into it. Imagine I am working, I'm speaking right now. While speaking, I know who am I and I'm speaking. So while speaking itself, I am aware that I am Dr. So-and-so and I'm speaking to the audience and I'm trying to, I is everywhere in my action. Now, just an hypothetical imagination or hypothetical concept we take, a situation, hypothetical enough, that I am speaking, but I'm not aware that I am speaking. Still the speech can take place because the vocal cords are still active, the shabdas are active. Asmita is not there. When that kind of deliverance takes place, at that point of time, deliverance is happening, but the person who is delivering is not aware that he is delivering because his awareness as me is gone. So does that mean that he is not aware of what he's speaking and he's just blabbering anything? No. Awareness of me is possible when I consider myself as somebody different than my everything around me. But if I am the only one existing in the entirety, not entire creation, even beyond creation, vyakta avyakta, if I am the only one, then how can I be aware of myself? For my awareness to be me, my selfishness, there has to be two, dvaita. When I am into dvaitatita, advaita, when I'm into Brahma Swarupa, then there is no feeling of even two, so there is no question of me acting. And when such a Brahman or such a Atma Khyati Purna Purusha gets into this world as an avatar, at that point of time, because he is Brahma with Brahma Swarupa, he does acts in this world because he is in the Prakruti. So he will act. So Bhagavan Sri Krishna spoke, acted, smiled, giggled. Gurudev laughed, joked, spoke. But that is on the borrowed gunas. So imagine somebody who has no money has borrowed some money because the Kubera is standing in front of him, and then played some dice for the sake of entertainment. He has never been in the need of money. He was never attached to the money, but he wanted to just play the game. So that means this was Prayojana Rahita Karma, and Prayojana Rahita Karma is called Leela. Prayojana Virahita Karya. That is why Bhagavan is saying that Partha, I am on one hand saying I have no duty left. On the other hand, you may ask me, if you have no duty left, then why are you here? Bhagavan first explains that, let me tell you why I have nothing to do. I have no kartavyam. Why? Because kartavyam, the original Rigvedic word is kartvam, to do anything, either there has to be a prayojana or there has to be some phalam apeksha. When I am desireless, where is the question of karma phala apeksha? I don't have even apeksha of karma itself. Forget about because I know I am not the doer anymore. As if a tree would have its leaves bristle with the air that flows through the tree. At that point of time, the leaves of the tree do not think that, I'm waiting for the wind. The wind comes, they bristle, they move. The wind is not there, they don't move. In either case, they don't have either the desire of having the wind or not having the wind. That is a sahaja avastha. When my situation, Lord Krishna is telling, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Ham Guru Guru Nath re, Nanak Naam Hamara re. Nanak Naam Hamara re, Har Ghat Dam Hamara re. I'm there everywhere. I'm omnipresent. What is left? There is nothing other than me. How can I desire for my teeth? How can I desire for my nail? How can I desire for my skin hair? How can I desire for my arm? They're all mine. If this way everything is mine, then what is left in me? Nothing is left in me. So I being without desire, I being without intent or prayojana. So prayojana virahita, karana virahita, hetu virahita, phala apeksha virahita, karmam is what I do. Because I do not want to attain or achieve anything which is yet to be achieved. I have crossed the boundaries. You are progressing, Partha. You are a person who is sadhana chatushta sampanna. So you are progressing. So you have something to achieve. You are yet to become sthita prajna. You are still to go into higher realms of consciousness. Then you will be slowly transcending each gunas one by one. Then you will be ultimately transcending sato guna, that is, you will be doing prakriti bhedana. Then you will go beyond avyakta because you will do the laya of your asmita, your avidya will be gone. So you have stages to achieve. For me, there is nothing to achieve. So my attainment, there is nothing left for me to attain. Now the Partha's concept of jnana, because jnana was told earlier, Sankhya, karma, He is trying to now reconcile all the philosophy together. Hold on, you talked about Jnani, now you're talking about karma, then you're talking about you not doing any karma. He's just trying to reconcile the thing. So, karma, when it's done, it is actually called karma. When the karma is obtained, it is called apas. And when the karma is ended, it is called daunsa. Karma, apas, daunsa. Doing the karma is karma. Obtaining the karma is apas. Ending the karma is daunsa. All these three, in case of Bhagavan's Leela, happens because of yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati. Lord has to descend, avatarit, avatar. And the problem is, for the Lord to descend is, to come in this world, you require gunas. To do the action, you require gunas. For the gunas, you require prarabdha. You don't have a, because Bhagavan Krishna doesn't have a prarabdha. So then what they do? The king calls the queen and says that, can you give me your jewels? I want to see them. Although I have given it to you, I want to see them because I want to use them for some purpose. Similarly, Bhagavan, the Lord, requests Maya or Prakruti and says, give me some prarabdha. Why? I want to go down. The Maya happily gives, because Maya is what? Shakti of Shiva. The Shiva then borrows the prarabdha from the Shakti or the Maya, and what type of prarabdha he says? He decides. I shall be slightly bluish in color. I have a lustrous kanti. I shall be born in captivity. And then there will be my mama who will try to kill me. All this prarabdha is pre-designed and borrowed by the Lord from the Maya, and he's born. Now that he is born with Dvibhuja, like a human being, the question comes that if he's like a human being, he must be like me. And that is the biggest mistake even Arjuna did, for which he suffered. It was a papam. Even though Bhagavan Sri Krishna showed who he is through his entire Vishwaswarupa, he was Dvibhuja, he was Chaturbhuja, he was a Shadbhuja, he was Vikral, Virat Swarupa, Vishwarupa. Even then, Arjuna made a mistake of calling him as a friend in human form. It is easier to understand how Chaitanya expands to create the universe, but how whole universe and the creator can come into just a 6, maybe 7 feet tall frame of a human being is most difficult to understand. बूंद समाई सागर में जाने हर कोई, सागर समाया बूंद में जाने बिरला कोई. That is the reason why Lord is talking about his own presence, saying, Partha, first thing, I have no duty whatsoever to be performed in any of the lokas. In fact, I have come to you for the sake of this Mahabharata, for the sake of this Yuddha, for the sake of my avatar. I had something to do in Kokul, something to do in Mathur Vrindavan, something to do in Mathura, something to do in Dwaraka, and now in Kurukshetra. Why am I doing this? Partha, this dice that I have played called world. What are Gurudeva's word? As though work itself was to him a rapturous game of enthusiasm and joy. Game means lila. And the very purpose of this game is in that word, Sanskrit word Leela. There are 4 or 5 different meanings of Leela. One of the important is Li. Li dhatu means dravikarana, liquefaction. What liquefaction Lord wants to do this out through the avatar? Liquefaction of the hardened heart of many, many people. Depending upon the chitta sthiti, the dravikarana happens. That dravikarana is called a Leela. And this dravikarana is done very easily by Lord. So it is called a Leelaya. Leelaya means easily. What was the size of Balakrishna? A small, beautiful baby. What did he show to Yashoda Mata? When he did the whole world inside the mouth. That is called Leela. Leelaya, easily done. When this game is being played by him, is to liquefy the hearts or the antakaranas of the entire samasta creation. Now, it depends upon what kind of heart the person is carrying. If it is a susamskarita hridaya, chitta, antakarana, then it is like an ice. When you take the ice out and keep it on any exterior surface, it automatically melts. So it doesn't even require any heat. All it requires is to take it out from the place where it was frozen to the external place. This is the easiest state of antakarna which can be liquefied. Then some of them have sattva guna pradurubhava, sattva guna prakarshatada. So they can be liquefied by a little bit of heat. You take the butter out and just rub it little bit and it becomes oil. Some people chitta antakarna is like that. Some people's chitta antakarna is very hard than that. For the harder one, the Lord is anyway having Sudarshan Chakra in the hand. So through his action, even person of hardened heart or antakarna like Duryodhana, Ravana also get liquefied, so that everything in achara will ultimately, all the upadhis will ultimately reach the status of God. That is the game plan of God, not ours. So it will be followed. And there will be always deviation. For every deviation, there will be correction. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavet. I shall be there to correct it. And that is why being there for the correction of what has gone wrong, hey Partha, don't think that I have something to gain in it. So the Lord is saying, Partha, there is na anavaptam avaptavyam cha. There is nothing left for me to attain. अब दिल में हरि देखिया गावन को कछु नहीं. There is nothing left, Arjuna, for me to do. Yet I am doing this because I am here to uphold the Vedas, the Dharma. Why? Because it is my game plan, not yours. In my own Leela, I have set down certain rules. Every now and then, the constituents of this cosmos do not observe the rule. As a result, my game gets disturbed. For such a disturbed game, I have to come and correct it again so that it flows and goes on the way I have designed it. I created everything for Sahajivanam. Everyone is dependent on other because I have created the world like that. Every constituent of my cosmos or the universe is a dependent entity. The dependent entity shall function to see that the dependence is recognized and he contributes for the further movement. I gave enormous wealth to this universe. The wealth was given so that it could be distributed to everyone, so that everyone gets it. Someone in the line, in the succession, decided to hoard the wealth, because of which down the line they did not get, because of which they suffered. This is absurdity. Partha, I have to come to correct this. And for the correction, the one who hoarded has to suffer. How much suffering? Equivalent to the suffering that he gave to the people down the line by hoarding the things. So this time he's a billionaire, next time he's a pauper. You only see him as a pauper and you feel how the Lord can be so cruel that he look how he doesn't have anything to eat. No, Partha, this was set in order so that I continue with my game in a proper manner. And in order to do that, I have kept an excellent record keeper. He sits in the Muladhara Chakra. His name is Ganesha. So he perfectly balances the papam and the punyam accordingly. And mind well, I'm not punishing people. I'm showing them their place so that they do not do the same thing what they did earlier. And that way they hasten their progress towards their own destination, which is the Lordship, which is me. So it is my krupa on them that they're suffering from adversities, which you look at it as only adverse condition. Now the Arjuna is getting another question in his mind. If this gentleman called Sri Krishna, my friend, if he is taking a stand that I have no kartavyam left, then why is he bothered about people who are following dharma and people who are not following dharma? He has got no kartavya. At the same time, he says, I am helping people. Then helping people is not your kartavya? See the philosophical dilemma. On one hand, you say, akartavyam. I do not need any karma. I do not do any karma. I have no kartavya. All right, sir. Fine. You have resigned from the job. Very fine. If you resigned from the job, then why are you coming in the company again and asking everybody? Why are you interested in what is happening to the people, whether they're following dharma or not? Why you're doing this? That is the reason why the 23rd shloka, the Lord gives that answer. Yadihi aham na varteyam. Now the word is varteyam, not karmam. This is Bhagavad Gita. Every word is perfectly chosen, divine creation. Varteyam jatu. Yadi hi aham na varteyam jatu karmani atandritaha mama vartma anuvartante manushaha partha sarvashaha. If I do not engage myself in action without relaxation, then men would follow my path. And then what will happen? The whole world will be at a standstill or in a negative territory. For that matter, the so-called Saturn, Shaitan, the concept which doesn't exist in Hinduism at all. We do not have Saturn or Shaitan at all. These are creations of other religions. In Hinduism, we call every person as Shrunvanto Amrutasya Putraha. We call a son of nectar. That evil tendency, the satanic tendency, the Charvak Pravrutti, if we go by that, then what will happen? Eat, steal, merrymaking, die one day. Who has seen what life after birth? Who knows from where I have come? This is the easiest philosophy to pronounce. Now, if this philosophy is pronounced, what happened to the same clan of Krishna himself, the Yadavas? All the Yadav, what did they do? They behaved in the most reckless manner who can behave as if they were leaderless, although they had a leader of the stature of Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself. See what happens even during his presence. When he was alive, there was decadence, complete decaying of the entire Vrishni clan. If this can happen in Lord's presence, what will happen in Lord's absence? Then things will go to the rotting hell. And that is why, Partha, I have to set a benchmark. Who you shall look up to whom people shall look up to. If we do not have Gurudev, Vivekananda, Tapovana Maharaj, Ramakrishna Paramahans, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Shankaracharya, who will be our heroes then? Even in their presence, we opt for the heroes, those eunuchs dancing on the screen. They become our heroes. If the benchmark goes down, decadence will not take time. As you can see right now also, every now and then in Kali Yuga keeps happening. Who are the people who are having maximum wealth? We feel great in the mind that, look, I know somebody who is in politics. So-and-so minister is my friend. See, the benchmark changes so fast. That is because the corruption, the corrosion of values to set the benchmarks in a negative manner, the villains, the vamps, the pornographic actresses are getting social sanctity, which is happening right now. All this indicates dharmasya glanir. And on this glani, and dharmasya glani doesn't mean that it has to come in the entire universe and one in the king's form, the Lord will come. In the individual mind also, dharmasya glanir bhavati. That time the thought comes that I'm doing something wrong. Lord Krishna will not be happy with me. Bhagavan Sri Krishna, Bhagavan Sri Ram will not be happy with me. So you set your own benchmark in your mind, in the thoughts, so that the bad thought is defeated, good thought prevails, the tamoguna is defeated, rajo or sattva prevails. That Mahabharata is constantly going on in our mind. But for all the battles to fight, there has to be one right and one wrong. If two wrongs are fighting, then the battle has no meaning because it is going to be doomed in any case, whosoever wins. For that purpose, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Manushyaha anuvartante. Men are going to follow me. And how Bhagavan Sri Krishna is confident? Look at his own example. Thousands of years have passed, but even today, whose name inspires you? Bhagavan Sri Krishna kehte hi, all Hindus, they feel revered. What is that pinch that you feel when you do something wrong? It is Bhagavan Sri Krishna is watching over me. Imagine the person, imagine the entity, imagine the Ishvara to whom we have not even seen. We are definitely scared of our acts because we consider him as a benchmark. So if this is the case with the person who has not seen the Bhagavan Sri Krishna, then one who has progressed enough to see him, how it is possible that he will ever behave in a wrong manner? And that is simply because human beings are the only one where the antakarana is developed to an extent where he can think in a subjective manner. All other yonis, all the trees, animals, everybody cannot think in a subjective manner. And that is the reason the time and the space relation, the thinking which allows us to have dimensional knowledge is only possible with human brain. That is why Gurudeva says, in nature, everything acts constantly and sincerely except the human being. The reason is to reach to the Lord and to enter his kingdom, you need to penetrate the door of Lord's kingdom with the help of an instrument called sword of intellect. But this sword is a double-edged sword. If used to penetrate through the doors towards the Lordship, it really helps us to see the Lord. But if it is used in a reverse manner, the same sword can be used to destroy the Lord's creation, which we all are doing. And that is the reason, because there is a larger possibility of human beings using the intellect in a negative manner, and in order to discourage them from doing that, in order to see that they do not go towards adharma, I must establish some benchmark of dharma in the form of, because if I just say it in a divine lecture or divine scripture like Veda, people will not listen. I have to be born in a particular form which the common people will understand. That is why, Partha, in this Mahabharata, I am here, you are here, you are going to kill them, you shall be fighting, and all this has already happened. You are seeing it now. I have designed it yesterday. So from that angle, you trees try to understand, Partha, I myself do not have any duty to perform. Karma is miles away. Not only it doesn't exist in my dictionary, because I am Triguna Atita, yet I have come in gunas by borrowing the prarabdha from Maya to set a benchmark. And that for that benchmark, I'm standing right here in your chariot, turning my face towards you and teaching you what to do, so that what I taught you shall become an example for those who will be then listening on the Friday morning lecture, so that then they can themselves follow, which will be seen by others as another benchmark. And that is how the Kala Yuga will slowly start becoming Satya Yuga in the form of the Yuga for the whole world. But if not that, at least for the Mahabharata that is going on in this particular Buddhi. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Thank you, Sanjay. We have about 2 minutes for some questions or some discussion points if anyone else has. Otherwise, Sukumarji can proceed with the closing prayers and pledge.
Hari Om, Sanjay. Sanjay, as you said in your last lecture, these Gita Mata speaks to us depending on our level of spiritual evolution. And I think while your commentary was a lot about how Gurudev and some evolved souls could interpret these shlokas, I was thinking from a practical aspect, all of us, for example, you reach a point where you say, okay, sons are educated, daughter is educated, whatever, and now I don't want to do anything, right? And I think for me, this shloka was really at that level where it was saying, even me being God, I am doing something, right? So आप कौन हो? मैं तो भगवान होके भी मैं कह रहा हूं कि मुझे कुछ करना है, तो आप तो कुछ, you cannot not do anything, and that really is a very important purport. And I did not go into the realm of even desireless action. I thought that was very evolved, and that's a concept which comes multiple times. But here, I think the biggest thing for me at a base level was, if God can not be without action, who are you to even consider saying I will not be without action? Is that okay interpretation?
Absolutely right. In fact, the very fact that I feel that I should not be doing anything now because everything is done, my sons are settled, etc., is an action of a tamoguna. It is not an action of sattva-guna. The very fact that you feel now there is nothing left to be done, it itself means that it is a sankuchita buddhi vritti. In fact, when the sattva-guna is there and the buddhi starts expanding, not only that your body and your mind will be feeling prasanna to do so many things, because then the stimulus is not coming from your desire, it is coming from Lord. And the Lord's stimulus is so great. The live example of Lord's stimulus, how it acts, if you want to see, is Gurudeva's life. What prompted him to do day and night the Jnana Yajna? It was not his desire, it was universal or divine desire. And divine desire has got competencies which cannot be even compared with small mortal human beings' desire. So that is why the very fact that now everything is done, I don't want to do anything, is a tamasa that is existing, not the sattva guna. Satvaguna propels to do sattvic act. Rajoguna propels to you rajasic acts. What we are doing is, my rajasic acts are getting over according to me. So let me now fall back into tamas. That doesn't happen, sir. Rajasaguna, when it preponders, it takes you to Satvaguna, not to the Tamoguna. So this desire will not last longer. If it lasts longer, you will gravitate towards tamasa. That will never happen. And if that was the case, then even the grandfather would not have played with the grandson. He would have said that, why should I play? I have already settled my children. It doesn't happen. Even on the deathbed, you want to ensure that you have made a proper will for everybody. Rajoguna is still alive, sir. Are you?